Question number 3, Maggie Berry.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Finance. What trends are emerging in the government's spending and revenue, and how will these be reflected in budget forecasts on Thursday?
Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, last Friday the Treasury released the government's financial statements for the 9 months to the end of March. The operating deficit before gains and losses was $1.66 billion for the 9 months, $199 million larger than forecast in December. Core Crown expenditure was $423 million below forecast at $52 billion for the 9 months. Revenue in the 9 months was $2.6 billion higher than at the same time last year, but around $800 million below forecasts in December. The budget on Thursday will confirm that we are on track for a small surplus next year, followed by increasing surpluses.
Supplementary question, Maggie Berry.
What do the Crown accounts tell us about the growing economy, and how will the budget this week build on recent gains in supporting more jobs and better wages?
Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, the Crown accounts show that while Crown tax revenue remains below that forecast by Treasury 5 months ago, it is $2.6 billion higher than this time last year, or 6.3%, reflecting a growing economy. It's the result of more taxpayers and more jobs earning higher wages. This is in line with strong recent employment market data. The budget this week will confirm the government remains on track to surplus. However, getting back to surplus is not the end point. We want to continue to support the strength of the economy with more people working longer and getting more hours of work and more jobs. This will help to ensure surpluses in the future.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Maggie Berry.
To the Minister of Finance, what steps is the government taking to ensure New Zealand families share in the gains of a growing economy and that everyone pays their fair share of tax to fund government programs?
Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, the families whose members are one of the 84,000 New Zealanders in extra unemployment compared to a year ago are benefiting from the momentum in the economy. Average weekly wages increased 3.2% in the past year, well ahead of inflation. 15,000 New Zealanders came off welfare into work, and 29,500 fewer children are living in benefit-dependent homes compared to 2 years ago. Everyone is paying their fair share of tax. As the Prime Minister announced yesterday, Inland Revenue will receive $48 million in the budget over the next 5 years to boost tax compliance. This builds on the government's wider program, which has allowed Inland Revenue to collect more tax from the hidden economy, the property sector and aggressive tax planning and fraud. So far, this has increased the government's gross tax revenue by around $500 million over recent years.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Maggie Berry.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Supplementary question to the Minister of Finance. What recent statements has he seen about the improving Crown finances?
Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, I saw a statement last Friday claiming that core Crown expenses were $423 million higher than forecast and that tax revenues are falling. These statements are actually the opposite of what is correct, and I was pleased to see that a second press release was made to correctly reference the $423 million of spending. Unfortunately, the press release still got the second statement wrong by claiming that revenue had fallen. Numbers were clearly not the author's strong suit, but that was Mr Parker from the Labour Party.
Supplementary.
No. Question number 4.
Question number 4, Honourable David Parker.